All right, welcome back to episode 2 of the Pick Your Brain podcast with Johaz and Weekend Gabe holding you down for the West Coast and around the world. Don't forget to give us a follow on the social medias and on Twitter at Pick Your P or Pick UR with a UR because apparently we're not original enough to come up with our own podcast name, but innovative enough to accommodate and adapt. So we're fun that way. How you doing, Joe?
Man, I'm good, man. Just came back from my son's tournament, man. He got buckets, so that's always puts me in a good mood, man.
Were you a ball player when you were a kid, or I don't want to date you and make you feel like an old timer, but
Nah. I played basketball and football. I was better at football, but basketball is always funner. You know what I mean? Like I think I could have went further in basketball had I developed my lleft hand earlier. So like. That's why with my sons, I developed their left hand out the gate, because it's tough if people know you, because I had athleticism on the basketball court. I could just blow past you. But like, if you knew me, if you grew up with me, you would just try to force me left. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I kind of got my left hand as a senior, but then at that point, it's like, oh shit, so football was what I excelled at the most, but I have more of a passion nowadays for basketball, definitely.
There you go. It reminds me of that this common sense line. He's like, I never worked on my left, so it's hard to be right.
Right.
Look at that.
Every hooper knows, man, you need that left if you're right-handed, and vice versa. If you're left, you need that right. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All right, well, let's introduce our guest this week from the Mighty Souls of Mischief crew and the Hieroglyphics crew. It's a pleasure to introduce Tajai to the show. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm chilling, man. Just hanging tough.
What up, big bro? What up?
Chilling.
So, Tajai, I am not in California with you and you and Joe. I am in the wintry city of Chicago. So I will have a lot of questions. So this show is a lot about talking about legendary, iconic artists like yourself, but also informing a lot of people like myself who've watched hip-hop music from the West Coast from a distance and who didn't experience it firsthand. So it's educational, but also a very social-based type of show. So we'll get into a lot of different things. So I hope you're prepared.
Yeah, I'm ready. Hey, hell yeah.
We're shedding light on the West Coast history and where it's at now. And it's always about speaking with the people who laid the foundation. And I mean, Souls of Mischief, I don't think anybody laid a stronger foundation in West Coast than y'all, for real. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, I appreciate that. It's all what they call it, 6 degrees of Easy anyways, right?
I spoke about that the last time. Everybody comes from one tree, essentially. We just got different branches,
The ruthless tree, you guys were connected to, Dell, and Dell connected to Cube, and Cube to Easy. So it feels appropriate, right? It all stemmed from the Ruthless Records Foundation.
Yeah. Dope.
The documentary, the Souls of Mischief documentary, I think it dropped in, was it November, December of 2020? I can't remember, but it's fairly still new out there. One of the things.
Yeah, we dropped it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
One of the things that really stuck with me was Shock G saying that Souls of Mischief was the armor of the West Coast, and that just really stuck with me a lot because that's a really hard thing to say about someone not in a bad way, but that's a huge compliment. That being that you guys are now, and now it's almost 30 years and since the release of your debut, do you still champion the Souls of Mischief brand, the history as being this titanic type of armor that has represented and carried the West Coast for so long? Did you agree with that assessment from Shock G?
I didn't think of it. I mean, there's so many dope lyricists, and I feel like not only did we spawn, but we just help bring to light hella dope lyricists, So for a long time, we had to be because there was a lack of representation. But it wasn't that we were the only, it was just that we were the ones that existed. So we were thrust in that position, but we wasn't looking at it like even West Coast, we were trying to be different. We grew up on Rakim and Kane and G-Rap, I just recently did a song with G-Rap.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that's the level that we were training at. So that's who we were trying to not snipe at, but just if we did have to be the armor, those are the type of titans we were trying to protect against. So, but it wasn't something where we were like, we want to be the best on the West Coast or protect the West Coast or just represent the West. We were more like, we were trying to represent ourselves because we still were fortunate enough to come up in a time where in rap, you had to be your own thing. Even a lot of gangster rap was spawned by NWA. But I remember when NWA came out, like that was their gimmick. It wasn't like they were creating a genre. That was NWA is this. Oh, that's gangster rap. You know what I'm saying? Though, but it wasn't.
Nobody.
It wasn't like there was a whole
Raiders hats.
That was their
jackets.
Yeah. So for us, our thing was lyrics. And trying to hang with the likes of Kane and all that kind of stuff. So to me, that's a great compliment. But it was because we're thrust in that position, not because we put ourselves into that position.
Yes. Because for me, as a kid, like in junior highs, when I first got introduced to Souls of Mischief, it was like, oh, wow, this is finally some guys that look like us. They're not gangsters, but they're not punks. They're rhyming, they look ill. They still got the girls that's liking them. And they got beats that like sample beats. So we were just like, oh, shit, they got backpacks. You know what I mean? It was something that I could relate to, even though I was like, my top people was like Public Enemy, X, even though I could relate to it, it still was like East Coast shit. Even though I never looked at hip hop like East Coast, West Coast, but as a kid, like, you were like, yo, man, you will never get a gold chain. But y'all didn't have gold chains. Y'all just had some ill gear, you know what I mean? Just ill cuts, just like looking like, oh, them is them niggas we want to look up to. That's how me and my boys roll, you know what I mean? So that was the main thing that I think a lot of us that initially came up on Souls it was so relatable. Like, oh shit, those dudes looks like us and they rhyming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that was really the movement. I mean, that's how it was moving for us, is that we embodied the type of fools who were like hip hop cats, but we're not necessarily the drug dealer type rap, not necessarily the super conscious type rap, like just like regular dudes, like how I say De La Soul maybe made it cool to be weird, or try, native tongues, we kind of made it cool to be normal, like just, hey, I'm just a regular cat, you know what I'm saying? Though that'd be rhyming. But before that, when you look at a Rakim, you look at G-Rap, hardcore, right? You look at Big Daddy Kane, full on pimp. Yeah. You look at Rakim, this fool was like a 5% space alien type dude, but still, so we were like, oh, this is the homies, like regular rap. Even Farside, who came out at the same time as Alcoholics, like Alcoholics had their thing. They're like, oh, we almost like the jocks. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Rap. And Farside was like, we dudes that be grooving and shit. Like we cool cats, but it's like almost a continuation of like the Soul Brothers or Def Jam. Yes. We were just kind of like, we at that same party, but we just like there, like we not, we trying to get us some women, and and just kick it, blaze one and kick it, like, so just being like a regular dude,
Let me ask you this: did anybody in Souls of Mischief groove, like dance?
We all did. I mean, but that's because that's what we grew up in the hammer pants era, patent leathers, and like Big Daddy Kane would groove, right? You know what I'm saying?
It was okay to dance in the 80s and early 90s. Like dancing on stage was great. Now it's like it feels like it's taboo. Like if you do it, like there's something wrong with you.
I love to keep that element still when I do shows, that dancing element. Like I told my son, I was like, yo, the thing was, you had to know how to do a little bit of everything. You had to know how to dance a little bit. You had to know how to beatbox a little bit. You had to know how to rap a little bit, do a little pop lock. And it was like, if you could,
you was a hip hop dude.
Yeah, you had to.
You weren't just a rapper. That job description came later because that's what they figured out how to sell. Yeah. But if you're a hip hop dude, you had to do a little graffiti. You had to be able to break dance, beatbox, all that shit. Like it wasn't just I'm just a rapper. Like that rapper is damn near a job description. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they started selling it.
You know who did it really well? Like Heavy D, who doesn't get enough credit. And when we talk about like credit, he was phenomenal. Like there's nothing that he couldn't do. It's like he checked off all the boxes.
He had hard bars. Yeah, he had hardcore bars. He had smooth bars. Like Heavy D, I think somebody needs to do a documentary on him.
Yeah.
Because even him, like 6 degrees of Heavy D almost.
Yes.
We almost need to come together and do this 6 Degrees podcast
We
and
do.
just show how everything is connected. You know, because Heavy D, I mean, you think about, he put Mount Vernon on. You think about Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
Yes.
He was down with Uptown. You know, like
his lineage is long. Didn't he put
embodied
on
so much.
Didn't he plug Mary J with something?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man, that whole Yonkers, newer shit, all that not in the city hip hop stuff, you know, that's not just Manhattan type shit. I mean, he made a lot of that happen. I mean, you know, it's interesting that his name doesn't come up as much as one of the greats when all his albums are like dope. His lyrics are all dope. And on top of that, he was a big dude, like no Heavy D, no Biggie. You know what I'm saying? No, like he was a big dude that got fly too, you know?
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that I feel like when Diddy saw Biggie, he saw Heavy D with the grimy version. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were.
So.
I mean, they did have that kind of like that because Puffy was with Uptown, so it was kind of like a segue from Heavy D, who was like a ladies' man and also someone that was respectable because of his bars and his presence. And then Biggie comes along, but like you mentioned, kind of like dirties it up a little bit and fits into that '90s grimy era, and then sort of passes the baton to him.
Like, who is really going to be a fucking fat ass heartthrob? Like, shit, you know what I mean? He wasn't like a fucking model or nothing. He was a fat, big nose motherfucker. But he, you know, they flipped that shit and he got that from Heavy D.
Yeah, they're both phenomenal. And then speaking of like the East Coast, because in the documentary they kind of said like, you know, Souls was kind of like the East Coast EPMD. You know, like you guys were like had this style and delivery that wasn't no one really doing. But to the credit for Oakland, and it's highlighted, I think like Shock G or somebody mentions, it's like everything that Oakland was doing was unique. So it's like this boiling pot of everyone, either Short, you know, Drew, everyone was doing E40, the Click, everyone was doing something different, you know, and far too often, you know, and we went through it here in Chicago with the drill sound. It's like once something catches on, it becomes the fad or the thing that everyone's doing. But in what it seemed like when you guys in that period, everyone was in their own little corner experimenting and bringing out something new, which is something you don't really see too often.
It's still like that though in the Bay. I mean, but it's regional. It never leaves here. A copy of it, or it's kind of a copy of it kind of leaves.
Yeah.
It's still like that. Like, guys, when you think about like a guy like Rex Life Raj, or when you think, I mean, there's just a lot of cats out here that are just different. And I think it's because we're from an eclectic place. It's a melting pot, you know? It's like that in Chicago too. I mean, you think about Rubber Room versus a Kanye versus, I remember, Three Stripes and all these different groups out there. Psalm One, you know,
Shout out to Psalm.
Yeah, it's a variety out there because I think it's a melting pot, you know? And so I feel like it's still like that. It's just that the Bay has not been a leader in the industry in a while. Probably never really has been because because there's no industry here. You know, there's creativity here, but you almost have to move to LA to blow up, you know?
Yeah, that's always kind of like the protocol. But I think like the Bay, man, the Bay is like a town where like niggas is just millionaires just within their city. You know what I mean? Like motherfuckers like CML, some shit that's you like, damn, this thing got like 50 million views, and it's just mostly the Bay type shit. You know what I mean? Like, and let me ask you this, Tajai. Speaking of the Bay, like, what part of the Bay did you grow up?
East Oakland, where I'm sitting right now.
There you go. Never left.
I'm 30 blocks from where I grew up, and that's, you know, I could walk that in about 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Though, like, it's not. I'm from East Oakland. I'm not even from. I've lived in West Oakland for a little while, but I'm from the East. You know, so yeah, I grew up in Oakland. Everybody in High Road except Domino grew up in Oakland.
Now, what was the vibe like in the 80s and early, mid 80s, 90s in the Bay Area? Like, what was the vibe?
Crack was the vibe.
I was gonna ask. I was like, well, were you guys affected by that? But I was like, let me see where this goes. And yeah, you hit the mark.
Crack was the vibe. So for us, we were fortunate that this provided another way to get girls or be cool or have some sort of sense of personhood about you that wasn't involved in getting money, because you know, like Oakland is where crack is from. You see what I'm saying? No, like
I didn't know that. That's where the
crack, I mean, even I mean, to the point where if you watch what's that show, Snowfall, he comes to Oakland and learns how to cook rocks, and then takes that to LA. So Oakland, I mean, the first crack pipe, that's found here. I mean, freebase is from somewhere else, but crack with soda is from here. So I mean, and crack is from here because the Panthers are from here. You know what I'm saying, though? And they pumped it here to destroy our community on purpose. You know what I'm saying, though? So I mean, just like there's so much heroin out here and everything. Oakland has 400,000 people. When I was growing up, it had 300,000 people. How is crack from there? How is there heroin everywhere? You know what I'm saying, though? How are we having these huge pans? Like, so I grew up in an era where either you took your chances outside or you kicked it with your friends in sort of their backyards and things of that nature. We don't got gangs. All we have, like, our streets are like cartels. You know what I'm saying, though? There's no gang banging activity. It's all just like, this is where I sell dope at. Also, fortunately, when I was young, because it was new, there were rules to that game that, you know, no women, no kids. You're not trying to have kids out here on the block if something's about to happen, to where cats will warn you or be like, hey, y'all go inside. You know what I'm saying, though? So it wasn't even glorified. You like having big gold chains and stuff, but rappers have big gold chains too. You know, this is before they rapped about selling crack, even if they did sell crack. You know, rappers had Cadillacs and these things too. So it gave us, I say, very fortunate that hip hop gave us all, my crew, something to be into. Like, none of us are athletes. I think me and Cash played football for a second, you know, but we're not athletes. You know, I mean, we scholars or whatever, but that, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. It's not something that you really are juiced about doing. So the vibe was really drug infested and trying to not die. Like, for real, like the 80s.
That's the black man. That's the black man old, man.
There was something like AA Plus mentioned. He's like, no, if you were rap, it was like kind of like a nerd thing to do. You know, it was like a very specialty type thing that people fell into. Maybe if you play like Dungeons and Dragons, then you also rap. It didn't feel like, you know, like everyone was on that train yet. You guys kind of feel special.
It was like collecting comics or high fidelity, like being a record collector or something. Because you had the text in rap were the records, so you had to collect the records in order to learn how to do the thing. You know, we had one video channel, Soul Beat. MTV wasn't playing rap music. BT wasn't even out here on our cable yet. So there's only one local channel. So rapping was kind of something like like Fight Club almost. You know what I mean? Like, you rap, you know, like, but or not even just Fight Club, MMA. Like a guy who's really into marks right now. He's not necessarily, he can kick your ass, but he's not necessarily a cool guy. Nobody's even looking at him really like an athlete. He's just like, oh, this dude wears these tap-out shirts. He's always talking about jiu-jitsu. You know, you weren't looked at as funny style, but it wasn't something that you were hella cool for doing. But then when you did it, motherfuckers be like, oh, shit, you really, oh, wow. You know, like, but being known as a rapper wasn't the same as being known like as a big-time drug dealer or being known as a jock or a player or none of that kind of shit. You know, being known as a rapper, like, oh, this rap-ass nigga, you know?
That era is like the last era where, like, because I remember me growing up, like, being a gangster was like as good as being a star athlete. You know what I mean? You know, like, if the motherfucker who was banging the hardest, he had as much love as the dude scoring 5 touchdowns or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it was. That's how it was I think a lot of spots in the West Coast, at least for me, like, being a gangster was on par with being a dope MC or on par with being like a star athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't have gangs, so it was just like, if you were a gangster, basically you were getting money, like, and really then it was like you stayed dirty all week selling dope, and then on the weekends sort of show out. But it was also not glorified. Like, that was seen as bad. Like,
it was.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like, the gangsters was not like, hey, youngster, you want to get money, come fuck with me. That was like, the fuck out of here, dude. This ain't for you. Get out of here.
I always got rap passes from every gangster, like, oh, that's the homie that rhyme, don't even trip off him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
see, we didn't even have to deal with that because the gang activity, like, the only time they'll tell you to even press you is like, why are you out here on the dope spot at 1 a.m.? Like, only thing, if you're not buying anything or selling anything, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. But it never was like, where you from? Like, that shit didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? No, where I'm from. And you didn't go places that you weren't from. Like, I grew up, the first 15 years of my life was literally damn near on like 2-3 blocks. You're like the whole time. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, we might take the bus to go to Berkeley to get some comics, but we'll be back before our transfer expired. Like, we wasn't hanging out there until high school.
Yeah.
That's funny. So you guys were the thing that I didn't know about this when I was watching the documentary, and it might have come as a surprise for a lot of people. You guys were like kind of like a boy band for like a while. Like, you guys were starting really young, 14, 15 years old, you know, doing like, you know, recording demos, learning the industry, you know, putting together songs, really doing the work early. You know, I think that's astonishing that you guys have been doing this for so long. Well, when you reflect like on like your guys' beginning and when you're recording this, do you just think how crazy it is that you guys came up with these ideas and were already had like a plan in place of what you wanted to do?
Yeah, in hindsight, because I'm not even that focused about anything right now. I mean, except maybe real estate. You know what I mean? Like, so to have a plan at that age, and it's really A+. You gotta give it up to A+ and Dale. Really, they had the plan. We just kind of, you know, these are the homies, and we do these things together because we're homies. But we, like, they really had the plan, and then Dale actually had the jug because Cube was his cousin. So there was a real clear pathway, you know. But it is kind of crazy that we were that focused. But I mean, it's the same as an athlete, you know. If you're in 6th grade and you're 6 feet tall, you know, you start hooping daily and maybe even damn near lifting weights and eating supplements and doing all that kind of shit because you know you're going in a certain direction. And I think it was the strength of will, Adele, Casual, and A+ that kind of made it so that we all kind of got into the industry because literally it was like when we get together, like, let's freestyle. What's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like a treadmill we were on constantly.
Working on your skill, yeah.
Who did you meet first?
Not just freestyling, like, yo, what's up with, we got to save our lunch money because we got, studio was, I think, $5 an hour. But so there's 3 or 4 of us. We'd be giving each other like $1.25 each. But, you know, $1.25 was damn near how much lunch was. So you'd have to buy lunch a couple days. Yeah.
That was a lot, man. Yo, I wanted to ask you, like, out of all of the Hyro, who did you meet first?
A+ and Casual. So I started in kindergarten with them.
Oh, wow. So you've known all these people for your entire life, essentially, and you're still
like,
that's crazy.
I was 5, yeah. A+ and Casual when I was 5, then I probably met Dale a little bit later, and then Festo in junior high school, Opio and Pep and Domino in high school. Yeah,
that's wild. When you guys and this is kind of discussed in the doc as well. So when you guys start getting into your bidding war, to take us into that moment of like being really in high demand, and you know, remind everyone again, like, what were some of the labels that were like trying to get you guys to sign on? You guys eventually landed at Jive, but like, what were some of the other labels that were looking for you?
I mean, Elektra was messing with us a little bit, but not. They had already signed Dale, but really it was Big Beat Atlantic, which was They put it out. I remember Double X Posse, like, not gonna be able to do it.
Can you do it?
Yeah. But that was Stretch Armstrong and Reef that were trying to sign us. They got into a bit more with Jive, but it was really just them two. So Sophia over at Jive, and Stretch over at Stretch and Reef over at Big Beat, and then we ended up rolling with Jive, which was, I mean, it was good in hindsight. I mean, I guess they probably had a stronger infrastructure. But they all, I mean, Jive is also the label where the famous Q-tip line is record company people are shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But
we learned a lot. Tribe was signed to Jive?
Yeah.
Tribe was signed to Jive, UTFO, KRS, Keith Murray, us. Yeah. R. Kelly.
Spice One.
Aaliyah, Spice One, Too Short, 40. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so they had a good ear for the West, man. They had a good ear.
They figured that they could pay us peanuts and keep. They were early on the West Coast shit. Well, on the Bay. I mean, they didn't have any LA acts, right? I mean, 40, Short, us, and Spice One are from here, so they were early on the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys had, you guys were able to, was it secure your publishing and your rights to your records, something that no one else was able to do?
Yeah, they couldn't believe it. The other artists on Jive couldn't believe it. So, I mean, when the bidding war was happening, it was cool because they were courting us, but all that shit comes out of your budget anyways, right? So one thing that made us sign to Jive was that Michael Ashburn said, well, if you give them their publishing, we'll sign with you. And they gave us our publishing probably because they didn't think rap was, wasn't a big ticket item back then.
Yeah.
And I mean, in hindsight, it's great because, when you see all these movies with 93 Till in it or any of our old songs in it, I mean, we're getting paid by that, and that's cool.
That's now, yeah.
Well, I've always owned all my own publishing my whole career. That most artists can't say that. When I say most, probably 98 to 99%,
Can you tell us how often do you get a publishing check for 93 Till Infinity?
Quarterly.
Oh.
I didn't produce it, though. A Plus produced it, and I think the sample took a whole bunch of it, like a large chunk.
Right.
Yeah.
But we get, I was trying to, my daughters make music. And I was talking to my daughter, with my 17-year-old, and I was like, I got to check, because it's the beginning of the year, right? So I just got a check. And I was like, I get checks right now. I was trying to tell her to handle it, publish it, and she's like, whatever. I'm like, yo, I'm getting check. I just got a check this week. I got it this week from a song I made when I was your age. So you probably want to get your publishing together, So
yes.
It's crazy that 27 years later, you're still getting checks, and then. Now with this streaming thing, somebody does a viral challenge or some shit like that, and your check gets even fatter.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like Souls of Mischief, Hieroglyphics, you guys were ahead of the curve as far as like independent and thinking like wise with the power that your music had. Like,
right.
Because most people, especially in the 90s, they're not trying to get off a label. You guys were trying to get off. Am I correct? You guys were trying to get off Jive, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they dropped us eventually, but we were trying to get off because they wanted us to be a boy band, really. Because we were young. I mean, when we signed, I was 17.
Wow.
So
who thought
but Too Short is Tutelage an example that made it like that. Too Short was independent. 40 independent. Even Jello Biafra, and the punk rock cats out here, independent. You know what I'm saying, though? So that when we came to them, we realized there is an alternate road after we got dropped, so we didn't go back to the labels. And also, we had the tutelage of Michael Ashburn, so having a mentorship in this game by both Short and Michael Ashburn is really helpful because and Q, really helpful. And I think that it wasn't because we were smart kids. We would have signed whatever they put in front of us. It's because we had people around us who showed us the proper way to do it. And I think that's really important now. I mean, I'm talking to a guy right now who's created an app where you put in your splits and all these things, and it tells you exactly how much you need to stream or how much you need to sell and how much publishing you're going to get a certain dollar amount. Things like that were not available when we were young. My contract, I still ain't read my contract. I got advanced degrees. I'm still not. I'm not reading that shit. You know what I'm saying? So we would have signed anything, but we had mentorship, and that's extremely important. And moving forward, I think we need to be equipping artists with. I mean, they are a lot smarter now, but we need to have a culture of that because you can see with. I don't want to speak on anybody's individual situations, but it's still parasites within the industry that'll lock you up. Yeah. Before because it's like you bridle a horse. The horse is going to a certain situation. You put the saddle on and ride the horse. But we need to figure out how to push ourselves to the next level without being parasitic within our musical community. Because I think that's what's happening right now. I mean, you look at the 360 deal. Look at these people having these management disputes and all that kind of stuff, and that shit should be avoidable because it's enough money for everybody.
Right.
Yes.
When you guys, and I hope I'm not skipping around too much, Joe, but when you guys, since we're talking about like the independence, that was. I've always looked at you guys as being kind of like one of those gold star examples of independence and taking not only the group and the music, but then merchandising it and creating a new separate revenue stream for the group. And then that opening up more doors for you guys to then, usher in a new artist under the Hyro, Imperium. So it always felt like you guys were the ones that were like leading that charge. But like you were saying, it felt like there's always been an independent Oakland spirit about all the artistry, whether they were signed or not, but taking ownership of the themselves. That when you guys were going through after you guys left Jive or Jive dropped you guys, and you guys were experimenting with these ideas, that was there a plan in place of what and how you wanted to do it, or was it all trial by fire?
I think I got to credit Domino for really having a vision. You know, Domino's maybe 5 years older than the rest of us.
Okay.
So, I mean, which, you know, when you're a kid, you know, he was our manager in the beginning. And he was 21. I wouldn't even, you know, allow a 21-year-old to borrow my car right now. But that time, you know what I'm saying? At that time, he was the big homie. So he had a little bit more experience in the boardrooms and stuff. So he kind of had the vision to go independent because he realized, like, hey, we just record the record. It's just having a product and then distributing the product. You know, that's anything. Dope game, widgets, you know, Nikes, whatever. It's the same thing. And distribution exists all over. So he really had the ideas, but there was a lot of audibles called, and we made some missteps along the way. But as far as getting music done, first thing I did when I got out of undergrad was buy a studio, you know? So now we have a studio where we can record records and get it done. So all a record label is a loan, right? A very predatory loan, right? They're going to take 89 to 91% of your, in the case of TLC, 92.1% of all your money in order to loan you enough money to record, usually in a studio they own already. So they get that money back with producers that they're taking their publishing already. So it's just a predatory loan. So we figured out how to cut that part out of it. And then we'll cut the expense out of it. So we didn't need the loan. And so then it was just about getting manufactured and getting stuff done. And we made some missteps, but for the most part, we went independent in a time where, you know, a Dilated Peoples single could go, you know, sell 100,000 units. And, you know, at $2 or $3 a unit, that's 300 racks you got in your pocket. It's not, you know, whereas our first Jive budget was probably only 300,000, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, Third Eye Vision probably sold 100,000 units, Full Circle, you know what I mean, or more. Full Circle, same thing, sold more than 100,000 units. So once we saw the numbers and the math, we were able to have the money to start making better decisions and also to start paying people to help us make those better decisions. I'm real big just on mentorship and tutelage. Not, you know, just like I make music. Like that's what I draw buildings and I make music every day. You know, I got some other investments, but really I let my investor dudes do the investment stuff because if we're all making money, that's better than me fucking my money off because I don't know shit about that shit. I know how to make a rap song and I know how to draw a building. You know what I'm saying? And I can cook some food. You know what I'm saying? But it takes a while to even realize that what your skill set is and what your skill set is lacking. Yes. And having more money enables you to put the people in place who have those skills. I think Jay-Z is a master at that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Jay-Z is necessarily the most intelligent guy, but he's smart enough to know that he needs to put the right people in place to do things. And as a result, his fortune has grown vastly. And it's not because like he knows clothes really well and they made, you know, these 100 million or whatever off Rockaware. He's not a fashion dude. You know, Kanye probably knows more about clothes than he does. It's not because he knows sports really well. He wasn't a dude with hella sports metaphors, right? No, he knows who to sign and how to negotiate and how to put smart people around him. And that's kind of what we were fortunate enough to do. And also we're in the Bay Area where there are hella smart people in tech and all these different things. You know, shout out.
That's like kind of like the tech capital of the world.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, we like right now we have a whole virtual world. I seen Busta Bus just open a virtual spot of his own too. But like we've created a whole virtual world. We got the Hyro Day Festival. We're probably going to do a Hyro Day Festival now virtually online, but we'll make it so that, you know, if you order some trees, the trees get delivered to you. If you order a T-shirt, your avatar get the T-shirt, and then the T-shirt also gets sent to you at the house. And you get the feeling of being at a concert because you can still talk to your neighbors and interact with people, but you also get to watch the show. But things like that is we're in the tech capital. We can get a virtual world created, you know, like easily. Whereas I think, unless you're in Pakistan or a few other places, the talent's not there like how it is here, you know, and the ideas aren't just floating like, you know. So really, I mean, a lot of our success has to do with us being in the right place at the right time and putting the right people in charge of things. I think our musical success, we'll take all the credit for that. Yeah, we make our music. people like it. You know, because we make what we like and we're hip hop heads.
Yeah.
As far as all the businesses, it's also us having people like Stinky or, you know, Michael Ashburn, Domino, Daria, my ID, these different people who know the business, who handle the business while we get to make music.
Let me tell you that. Oh, I was going to just say real quick, Joe. I'm sorry. So I bought the Oculus headset VR. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. It's like Facebook produces it. And I was on it last night. They have like this rec room where you can go in there and exactly what you're talking about, Tajai, about like being in a virtual space and talking with people. So this is like my first introductory time doing this with someone. And let me tell you, it's like a really fucking crazy experience. It's really shockingly scary.
Go to HyroVR.com. We got a movie theater in there. We playing the documentary right now.
All right, I got to check it out.
HyroVR.com. We got the Egyptian, the Valley of the Kings out there. We're about to put a whole Oakland in there. And hopefully we're about to make it so people can create their own rooms. But like, I missed Casual premiered his movie about the battle. I missed that. Went to the theater later, and there was 3 or 4 Hyro heads in there, and we just talked and chopped it up. You know what I'm saying? So it works with the Oculus. Go to HyroVR.com. We're trying to create a full-on world. I don't know if you've seen Ready Player One, the movie, or
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to make it so that if we're moving in this direction, hip hop needs to be moving in this direction too. It's not. We don't want to be left behind to where we're trying to have park jams when you can die from COVID going to the park. Yeah. But we can't let hip hop stop because, you know, this isn't interactive music, right? Even a performance, there's crowd participation. So you can't just do it by yourself. So we want to make it in a way that the crowd can, you know, it's vibe based, right? And this is the perfect opportunity to do it. But HyroVR.com, I hope that we'll be able to reach out to our, you know, I want to make world, you know, 36 chambers, all that. And also like, you know, for us, create our mystery school and have MC teaching, but have that shit like in a pyramid in Egypt. You know what I mean, though? Because
that's just always fun.
You know?
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe. I know you had a question.
Nah, because I was just like, as I'm listening to Tajai talk, I feel like you guys kind of invented the word brand, like the just branding in general. You know what I mean? Because like with the Hyro logo, just everything that you're speaking right now, even though everybody's all about brand, but you guys probably were the first branded, I think, even before the Wu emblem. I think the Hyro emblem is just like the most branded emblem in the world of hip hop and also music. You know what I mean? It's top 10 simple. Like when you see that shit, it's associated with Souls of Mischief or Hyro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that was accidental, but it's definitely been one of the other things that came together to spring us to where we are now. I mean, you think of the Rolling Stones, you think of the Mouth, you think of Black Flag, you think of the Little Fist, you think of, what's the other group? Public Enemy.
Yeah.
You know, I think also because our logo represents a crew, kind of like how Wu-Tang's logo represents a crew, it's bigger than just an artist. And then beyond that, because we came out at a particular time where underground skateboarding was blowing up, underground rap, indie, all this kind of stuff, it represents almost like indie or underground. It's not just Hieroglyphics, the rap group. It's like underground, you know, like it means underground hip hop almost, you know, like how Wu-Tang is like Shaolin, Kung Fu hip hop. Like ours is like underground, like, you know, like you see somebody with a Hyro shirt on, you probably ask them.
It's like, so we already know, like you see somebody with a Hyro, you're like, okay, hip hop and tennis, you know.
Exactly. Props. You know, if you know, you know.
And it's like, to be honest, man, I done seen so many chicks, man, back in my haram days, man. You turn that ass over, it's a Hyro and a Wu-Tang motherfucking tattoo. You're like,
we need to do a Wu-Tang versus Hyro album.
Oh,
that would be crazy.
There you go. You guys have Riz's number. You know, make it happen. I'm pretty sure that's possible.
That would be sick. That would be sick.
You're the first voice we hear on 93 Till Infinity with the shout out, and then I know you guys talk about that record, and it's probably the record that is most symbolic related to the group because it's probably your guys' biggest hit. But is that You know, remind us again because it's featured in the doc. That original record was for Casual, right? And then somehow you guys got there you go, Pep Love. There you go. So originally,
Pep Love, and we called the executive decision like, hey, plus, man, we're making a record right now. You can't be giving I mean, I'm so happy Pep did it. I don't think. I mean, had it been for Pep Love, Pep actually has never been signed. He's come out with hella good ass music, but his trajectory was different. So I think it going to us, it was almost like a blessing. Like he lateral right at the finish line, and then we were actually not the finish, but the end zone, and we actually were able to run a touchdown that made it so that we could continue rolling. I mean, but that's another thing that's like that wasn't planned. That was the homie who cared about us
the bigger picture,
but being like, yeah, okay, take it. You know what I'm saying, though? Because he could have definitely caused us to think about it, but he didn't. And I think, it worked out. I mean, you feel what I'm saying, though? Like, it's something where it's not all just planned. I think this stuff rarely is as far as our career. And we're just fortunate that it's worked out thus far. You know, I mean, we're in a new time now, and it's becoming more and more difficult to sort of distinguish yourself. But fortunately, because we have this long-standing relationship with our fans, relationship with the music industry, we're able to still, like I got Rap Noir, and I'm like, I got new fans. But I got new fans because I'm opening for Hyro as Rap Noir. So they're like, well, who is this guy? Well, he has 3 eyes. Is he affiliated? It's almost like I'm able to, you could cheat, because you're on a winning team.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk about that because you guys always are evolving. And when I first saw Rap Noir, it was like you with a mask, like a black leather mask or some shit. And like, it was so dope. It was like, only reason I knew it was you because you told me. But if I didn't know, I would be like, oh, that's some new ill shit, man. Like, how long have you been doing Rap Noir?
I mean, I actually almost wrote the whole album in 2012, man. But I just was kind of like, shout out Ghostface, shout out Doom. Like, I am in a unique position where I've grown up around some wild shit. Yeah. But Tajai, the soccer dad who went to Stanford, you know what I'm saying, though? Yeah. You don't want to hear that shit from me. But the hood makes it possible for me to sort of disembody and not be me. And, even the concept of Rap Noir, I want it to be like a genre, like, okay, gangster rap is real. Rap Noir is like Hitchcock or Scorsese or it's fiction. It's dark. It's gangster shit. But I want it to be known like, yo, when I take this mask off, I'm about to put some Birkenstocks on and kick. You know what I'm saying? No, like be Tajai. And and I didn't really understand how to, because I got all the shit in my head that I got to get out. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm surrounded by crime and wild shit. You know what I'm saying? No, like like I'm not, like I'm still in East Oakland. I be trying to explain this, like I'm still here. Like my partner's still hitting me from jail. Like, man, send that package. We can't leave and go to the commissary for COVID. I need a package like right now, like today. You know what I'm saying? No, so it's not. Even though I've had the opportunity to travel the world and get my education and lead a upper class type life, that's not where I'm from or what I'm around. And so these things, you're a sponge. You know what I'm saying, though? I've got to get this stuff out, but I don't want to get it out in a way that is inauthentic. And for me to be like, oh, I got this other alter ego, I'm Tajai, like how Beyonce has whatever she had. Like, it wouldn't work. But with the mask, I think it works because, I turn into a dude named Black Hoodie, and it's just like, even if you know it's me, it's enough suspension of disbelief that you can listen to what I'm saying without looking at it like it's me really trying to be tough or any of that shit. Because I think that's really hella unnecessary and unfair, really. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Rick Ross should be able to be like, I was the CO. Like, he should be able to say that shit without any issues in rap. Yeah, like, I was a CEO. I'm rapping about selling dope. I didn't sell any dope. I was a football nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have to. You shouldn't feel the onus to do that. I mean, if that's really your story, cool. But you shouldn't have to fake in order to sell entertainment. Yeah, because ain't nothing wrong with being a CEO, man. You clocking in, providing for your family. I mean, all right, bro, whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, he could have been in there moving hella. He could have learned all his dope stories in jail. Who knows?
Yeah, he could have
don't lie, but
shit.
don't feel like you gotta lie about it. You know, you're a 30-plus-year-old man. You shouldn't have to lie to anybody. You know what I'm saying, though? And there's pressure in hip hop and in the community in general. Like, I've never felt that pressure. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about growing up in bad times and bad area. It was never nobody on my block. I'm talking about killers. You know what I'm saying, though? That was like, hey, you need to come over here and handle, you know, like, you ain't from the Deuce Blood. You know what I'm saying? No, like, nigga, you ain't put in no work, da-da-da. They used to be like, nigga, go in the house, like, Blood. What is you even fucking doing out here? Like, nigga, we out here killing niggas, man. You don't even be out here.
Right.
You got to be the lawyer to get us out of jail or whatever.
I never forgot, man. I never forget this. One day, man, I was with the one homie named Morris. You know, and he was a gangster and shit. But everybody knew I was a sports cat and knew I was an MC. I got in trouble here and there, but I wasn't like a gangster. So I went with Morris one time, and I went with him, and he went to go like buy a strap, and boom, we came back to the block, and I seen the big homie, and the homie like, hey, where y'all coming from? I said, oh man, I went with Morris. You know what I mean? He went to go get that strap, huh? And then the big homie, he looking at Morris. He said, oh, so you took Johaz over there to go get that strap? And Morris is like, yeah. And the big homie just said, boom.
That's some, you feel me? But that's real gangster shit, though. Don't involve no civilians in no gangster shit, because even if he was doing it out of, I think, being an older black man caring about you as a youth, but also the concept that if you get pressed over where he got his pistol from, nigga, you square. I'm not saying it in no disrespectful sense. Like, nigga, you might be like, he got it from Jimmy down behind the store. It was $399, because that's not your life. You shouldn't even. You're not bound to that code. So even that's what I'm saying. They didn't even want to involve you, especially if this is not for you. They'll put you on if you're not eating or your mama's a crackhead. You know what I'm saying? Or like, but they'll push you away as many times as they could before they say, hey, come on, you ain't gonna go nowhere. You might as well do this shit right. But that kind of love and that kind of I don't want to say mentorship, but just kind of awareness about what they're doing is not the right thing and it's not for everybody. It seems like that's gone out of the window because we're in desperate times, but also because partially of rap, but mainly because we're in a racist ass America. It's been made to seem like what we're supposed to do is this whole criminal shit, and that criminal shit is just one path. Like it's always going to be criminals. It was, Jesus was strung up next to criminals. It was criminals It was criminals in ancient Egypt. Yeah. But that's not the only path. And for some reason, I don't know why, it's always been like, and I understand the lifestyle is flashy and we glorify the shit, but there's nothing wrong with just being a regular person. I think we kind of liberated a lot of young dudes in the hood, because we all from, whatever, to be able to be like, I'm going to be like that. Not even I'm going to be like that like a rapper, just like, nigga, this nigga is saying what's on my mind. I'm here just to get some bitches and smoke some weed and kick it, and chill. I'm not here to shoot the party up, or I'm not here to be super MC and I can't run fast and I don't know how to dunk or anything. I'm just here to kill. I'm a fly nigga,
Like, honestly, you guys are always my go-to, like when niggas will be like, hey, homie, you know what? You need to get a song, you need to get on some gangster shit. And I'll be like, but what about Souls of Mischief? Look at Souls of Mischief. You know what I mean? Like, anytime somebody be like, you know what, man, you need to just start talking about some hood shit and sell some records. But I'm like, Souls of Mischief sold records. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are always that example of being yourself, sticking to your guns can be very successful,
Right. I agree.
I think we're very fortunate for that. And it's just like I said, I got Rap Noir, which is a whole franchise. It's like a whole different thing. I got Tajai, like I'm making a record right now with Architect. That's the one that I got to sing with G-Rap about right now. And then I'm making a record with Breakbeat Lou that's more about like what we were talking about, like dancing. And I got like freestyle, kind of like freestyle the music, not freestyle rap music on there. I got hip house on there. I got some New Jack Swing on there, but like, we grew up dancing to rap music. It wasn't something you just got hella high and bobbed your head to. So I want to make sure that all these things and aspects of my character are represented, but I'm trying to do it project for project so that my projects don't seem schizophrenic, Like I can flip anyway as far as rapping, but, I've learned that at least from branding and marketing that, no, if it's too schizophrenic, people are gonna be like, this guy's all over the place. You know, you got to catch people with what they like. So, you know, like my next rap noir album is called The Black Hoodie Chronicles, and it's just crime from start to finish, just crime, you know. But then I said, me and Architect, the Tajai and Architect shit is just all skills, like rap shit. And then me and Lou shit is like break your neck kind of, you know what I'm saying? No, like boom bap.
Who's doing the beats? Who's doing the beats?
So the Architect.
Okay, word.
The
Okay.
producer, you know, he produced for Planet Asia and
yeah, now he's hard.
Dump God and all them, you know. So yeah. And then Breakbeat Lou's doing all the records for Breakbeat Lou. All my records, except maybe my first album, are basically producer records. Like even my trip hop records, I do them just with Supreme X, and you know, so or my, you know, Rap Noir is really, it's not just me, it's me and Justin. You know, I'm Black Hoodie from Rap Noir,
yeah,
and then I got Unjust, who's the producer. You know, and then I'll maybe get remixes done. Like I got Trap Noir, and I also got one called Club Noir coming out, which is like over 80s beats almost like almost like a Vice City kind of shit. It's basically remixes for Rap Noir shit, but over some like 1980s Donna Summery kind of, you know, cocaine music kind of shit. But I try to do my music with one producer. It just works better for me like that, because I think that when you're making a record, that producer understands the directions that you're trying to go in, and each song you make, it sets the precedent for the next. You know, like me and Lou, we started off, he gave me like 10 beats. We probably did 3 songs, and after that, he just started making new beats to complement the songs that I made. And that's the same with Architect. Architect just gave me probably 100 beats, and I just tried to craft something that was cohesive. I really grew up making albums, so I'm not ever really chasing a single. And I always think of my body of work as at least 10 songs, 10 to 30. Well, really, I like the 13 songs, you know? So I want it to have variety. It can't just all be one thing. I mean, even the crime shit, it's going to be a different crime every song, but it's going to be crime. You know what I'm saying? But I try to think of my things in terms of projects. And fortunately, with these different sort of streams, it's like comic books almost, you know? I have different outlets, so I don't have to have like a song where I'm super ripping on a Rap Noir album, because you're looking for crime there, you know. Or I don't have to have a party song on Architect's record, because me and Lou got all the party bangers, you know. So that's just how I do my thing. Somebody told me, it was a woman, very spiritual sister. She was like, you kind of are a channeler, like you inhabit a character and then become that character for whatever time period. So I've figured out now that I don't have to be that character all the time. Like I can do 3 different records as long as I know what I'm channeling. If I don't, then I'm like, damn, how come every song I write is about crime? Maybe because I'm around criminals all day long, but I don't know. Now I'm kind of like, oh, that's Rap Noir, you know? So,
I think that's the significance on making a project with one producer. You can really go into character, you know what I mean? With each project, it's like puzzles and shit. Okay, like on this piece, we're going to go here. On this piece, we're going to go there. So, you know, because I mean, some of the most prolific albums in the hip hop history was like a artist and a producer shit, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Look at what is it called, Alfredo? You know what I'm saying? Those probably Gibbs best, or Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. You know what I'm saying? Though, like, but those are 2 dope records that are 2 different styles, same artist though, but they both pulled something different out of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's and I think Freddie, and I've been critical of Freddie when he does his albums without Madlib or Alchemist, and he kind of has like a collage of different producers, and it sounds very scattered. And he just a different element that's brought out of him when you're working with 2 masters like those producers that are able to like just uplift him to a place where he can't get to in working with different sounds. And I think that's where he's best at. Can I ask you?
Also, making stuff. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish your thought.
I was just saying, when you're making stuff with all these different producers, you're just making things one by one, kind of. When you're making with one producer, it's like you're making a project rather than a song.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into so in '97, that's when you graduated from Stanford in anthropology, right? So you're in the height of your rap career, and you decided to go to school. It's not something you often hear, right? So
my parents were serious about it. Like I didn't even get none of my rap money. All my rap money went to college.
Smart. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, they were. I didn't want to do it, but it's good because I finished undergrad and then I went back to grad school maybe 13 years later. But it's cool because had I not completed undergrad, I'd be starting at the beginning, and it wasn't impossible, And now with the internet, it's shit. Now nobody's going to school, right? You can do everything remote. So I was early on this remote shit. I was faxing my homework in and having people go take notes for me and pick up my work from class and all that kind of stuff. So it was cool.
All right. Well, what was the inside the group? You going back to school? Was that like, oh, that's cool? Or like, why are you doing that?
I got in as a senior, so I had to go. So fall '93, I had to go. So that's when Your Loss was out, but my record wasn't out yet.
Oh.
So they let me take off a year, but my mom was like, okay.
What's going on with school?
In the fall, yeah. So
yeah.
I'm glad though. I grew up in a household where that college is mandatory, Like I'm saying, I'm probably the only second generation of college graduates, but like all my kids are going to college or have gone to college. You know what I'm saying? Like it's at least 4 years. It's base level, and so
that's how I run my household, man. It's college is mandatory. You could ask him.
I was talking to Joe about this. I have an 11-year-old, and me and my wife are getting into this, and I know just from talking with my son that he's not a fan of structured education. He learns differently. He learns by doing. So if you just talk at him all day, that's not effective for him. So I kind of get the vibe that college is not really something he's going to be interested in. Instead of forcing him to do it, I'd rather him devise a plan.
He's 11 though.
Yeah, but to be fair, I kind of had the same experience with school, that I was never a fan of school until I got into college. That was the interesting thing. My thought process switched. Huh?
College is cool though. It's different, and
it's amazing. You can actually learn what you want to learn.
Yeah, and I think that paradigm has changed. Even right now, you can just learn something and get a job at a corporation.
Right.
They care more about skills than certification.
Yeah. So
maybe he will, maybe he won't. But at my, during some of the '90s and '80s, like my grandparents weren't allowed to go to college. You know what I mean? So
right.
That was seen as the way to do it. As far as I'm trying to make sure that all my kids go to school. But like I said, just give me the 4 years, and then you could do whatever you want to do, or you could do whatever you want to do. And like, how can I explain it? I'm more about education than say college. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not about to just hang out and do whatever you feel like doing.
So that's
idle time, man. Idle time is the devil's playground, man. That's how you get in trouble.
That's my point as far as like, I'm like, listen, if you don't want to do college, I'm okay with that. But what's your plan? Like, you're not going to live in my basement until you figure it out. Like, what's the plan? And let's put you on a track to get you to where you're trying to go. So if you're going to do music, if you're going to do music and chase music, then fine. Like, what are you doing to work on your craft? Or if you're going to do stand-up comedy, what are you going to do? What are you doing? Like, are you taking classes? Are you working on it? Like, you can't just not do anything. And so I think there's a little bit difference than saying go to 4 years and not do anything versus like, okay, if you're going to take an unorthodox way of approaching life where you're developing skills or certification, like what you're saying, Taj, then let's do that. But not do anything is not an option. But I'm okay with either or.
Yeah, you got to explain that skills run earth. So, the college certification a lot of times tells you have a certain amount of skills. But like I went to undergrad and then I had to go back to grad school to really get a skill that I can use besides research. But I did that, and now I'm like, it was the best thing I could have fucking done. It was better than going independent. I've probably made as much money as an architect. I definitely make more money as an architect than as a rapper. You know what I mean, though? Like
off top, off top.
And in a pandemic, like a million% more. You know what I mean? Though, like I'm making zero money as a rapper. You know, like, I mean, my what is it called? My royalties, but they're I'm 30 years later. It's not like my.
What is it? So when you went to what? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. When you went to study architecture, is that something you were already like kind of like skilled in, but you're just like I want to take it to the next level, or is that something you kind of fell into?
I think I grew up, around having mentors, especially in my community, like black men and black women who were architects, and seeing like, oh, you have a thriving life, you got a nice place, you're not necessarily balling or anything, but it seems like you're not dealing with this corporate bullshit either, or you run your business, you're not under a bunch of people and all that kind of stuff. So I think that it appealed to me because it's artistic. It's not really, I mean, you can do it the corporate way, but I don't have to. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I work for myself. I work under a couple guys, but really for the most part, I'm in charge of how much money I make. And it's creative. Like, I draw pictures and write raps for a living. I have no complaints.
For the people like watching that don't understand the concept of an architect, what is your duty? Like real quick, what is the architect?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
Oh, I draw the pictures that the contractors use to build shit. So I design, and then they build things. But I don't build anything. I mean, I mess around at the house, and we got a maker space with like a 3D printer. I'm about to get I'm gonna start making furniture, and like I'm about to hook up my little hibachi and pizza oven and things in the backyard, on some home improvement shit. But like, I draw pictures, and then people who actually do real work build the shit. But I'm not an engineer either. Like I draw the picture, then I give it to the engineer and be like, make sure the shit don't fall down.
And I have a friend who's an engineer, and he does like all the plumbing, the electrical. Like he'll tell you like where everything's supposed to go. But yeah, he does that work. So
I draw lines where those things are supposed to go. Plumbing goes there, But it's cool, but it's not. I think people think it's a lot more technical than it is, and it's really just it's design. Like it's everything is pretty much built the same way. Like if you open up a wall, it's going to be studs inside of the wall, 16 inches apart, made of either wood or metal, like in every single wall, right? All over Earth. So it's not as technical as I think people think it is. Like, oh, you got to be good at math. Like, not really, but we got computers. Or you got to be able to draw. Not really. The computer, you draw with your mouse, and the walls are straight. Like, they're very rarely curved walls and all those things because we want to put art on the walls or TVs and shit, So
what I'm gathering is that Tajai is convincing me that I could be an architecture, and that's what I should go get my master's in.
Anybody in California can build a house up to three stories. Beyond 3 stories, you need a licensed architect.
All right. I've been trying to figure out what I want to go back and get my master's in. I have a BA in communications, so I'm like I want to know what I'm going to do next. But maybe
I would always recommend architect. I mean, you're in Chicago, one of the great architecture cities. But anybody who actually likes drawing and designing, I would always recommend architecture. But I mean, my lady's a computer scientist, and she. Straight out the basket money. You know what I'm saying? No, like I had to build up, but so there's that coding. I mean, there's all kind of stuff. There's so many opportunities now. It's really, I say, do what you feel like you'll love doing. Like I draft every day. Like I drew some shit today. It's Saturday, right? I draft I write raps every day. So do what you love and figure out how to make money doing it.
There you go. Before we let you go, Taj, I know that Joe, you mentioned that your first experience was being on tour with Souls, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that was my first ever tour, man. That was my first ever tour with my group out of San Diego, Deep Rooted, man. And we were signed to Tajai. We still are signed to Tajai's label, but we were signed to Tajai's label, Clear Label. And like it was us and Strong Arm Steady, man. And that like kind of like popped my cherry into like the touring game, but just learning from Tajai then, because I was running the merch table, you know what I mean? I just seen how valuable having merch and having your t-shirts and having that shit branding was like important to eat, because we were getting just per diem money, but we were surviving off the merch. You know what I mean? And yeah, I remember. I don't know, was Festo in architecture as well?
Fest was in. I think he does like music theory.
Some shit, yeah, because he was like,
And
we're speaking with him because, you know, we're on the road with him, and he was saying he was in school as well. I tripped out that all of you guys were just had so many other things besides just rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
That's
Oak has a BA. I think Oak might be getting his master's right now too. Like it's all.
Yeah.
I think we're from. We have educated parents to a large extent, and it's just like life is long, man. Like I'm hoping that it's more of my life left than I've lived already. So what I'm gonna do in the meantime, you know, like
yes.
like, I'm always gonna rap, but that doesn't mean everybody's gonna always want to listen to it. And what is like, does rap make money right now? I've yet to see it, you know. So you got to do something. So continued educate. Life is always about continued education, right?
Indeed.
It's never too late to go back to school or any of that kind of shit. It's
Yeah,
probably better to do it when you're older because you have the money to do it, you know. But
yes. That's why. I mean, Gabe and myself, we're trying to get into different avenues of podcasts, things that just so you don't be a one-trick pony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. Last question before I let you go. What during the documentary, there's a lot of iconic faces and names that pop up, and they shout you guys out and salute you. What about, I guess, during the making of this, like what was there one person that really just, you're like, holy shit, like they're a fan of ours, or maybe during your career that you ran into and they knew who you were and respected what you guys were doing?
It'll probably be like Grandmaster Caz or Grandmaster Flash, or you know, something like that more than anybody. Or G-Rap, you know, like I hit G-Rap up about a song. Like we just did this song a few months ago, like during the pandemic, and I hit him up, and he was like, "What are you for show? Let's go. I fucks with y'all." You know, like I made a whole record with Jinx. I've been fucking with y'all. You know, like that blew my mind. And then to do the record. And, you know, like, he gave me a good one. Like, you know, like, I was like, oh, shit, I'm doing a song with G-Rap. Let me go. I probably hit about 70 bars. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
And he came back with that G. Like, it was like, it's like watching a fucking kung fu movie where you got a guy who's just like fight. And then the old master is just like not even blocking shit. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, that shit is crazy. But yeah, something like, I say G-Rap, Bust a Bus getting on There's Only Now, and Snoop. I mean, Snoop, the thing is, the rap industry is small. So we always knew cats had love, you know, like, because we see them, and we're the only guys from the West Coast, probably besides the Alcoholics or the Far Side, that they ever even heard our music. They may have seen the singles, but they didn't really mess with, you know, maybe NWA. Yeah. And now maybe Short, because they've opened their ears up a little bit. But before that, everybody showed love. I think watching the movie, seeing Phife Dawg and seeing Prodigy speak on that was big, because you never, like, when we were filming it, we filmed in 2013, you don't think that either of them people are going to pass away. You know what I mean? That's crazy. So I would say, probably the Grandmaster dudes, you know, knowing what's up. And this is from when we first came out, you know, running into them and then being like, yo, Souls of Mischief. You're like, what? You're like a cat like Red Alert or something, you know? Guys where it's just like, wow, these are the real OGs, and they listen to my music. And then, talking to G-Rap, that shit blew my mind, man. The song is called Scattershot. It's hard, man. I mean, you know, like
it's on everything, Spotify, and all that.
It's called Scattershot. The single is Scattershot, but then the version with him is called Scattershot Ghost Recon Edition.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that shit up. Yeah. Man, we gotta do a record, man.
Man, you send me some shit. I was in Colombia, just water skin and you know, decorating and stuff. But I'm gonna get on it, dude, and knock that out, man. I'm not that. I'll get to it, dude. I'm gonna get to it and knock it out. But also I have a movie for Rap Noir coming out too, like a silent film. The audio is the music, so I'm dropping that too, and just, you know, hopefully I'm building a new fan base. Like, it's weird because the people who know it's me, but then half the people in the crowd when I perform, don't know it's me. Like, and like we have a driver that's got the same build as me. They'd be walking up to him like, "That's you, huh?" You know. So it's cool to have like a super underground, whole different fan base.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'm juiced about that. I'm juiced that I'm saying that to say that I'm excited about contemporaries that know about us and luminaries that know about us. But I'm most excited about continuing to build a new fan base. That's another thing. When you don't have a face, it don't matter how old you are. I could be like I could be James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You know, James Earl Jones still around, right? Did he just pass?
He's still cracking. He's still cracking.
So I'm saying, oh, that's right. He did Coming to America. So I'm saying, your voice can. I'm trying to move to just being a voice. You know, physically, of course, I always rock shows and all that kind of stuff. But I want in the end to have a catalog where cats stumble upon my shit. You know, I don't know how they dig now. Maybe it'll go viral. Or they'll see a TikTok with me in it or something like that. But they're like, oh, that's Tajai too? I never knew that. You know, I mean, you look at Doom's second act, you know, which was way bigger than his first act. Or even 2 Chainz. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, that's right. A Titty Boy.
I feel like
it's
right to have a long, prosperous career. And you don't even have to change up who you are. You just got new shit. 40 got new shit. These dudes been rapping as long as us or longer, you know? So I'm just trying to build new fans and hopefully impress more of my contemporaries now, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Tajai, man, thank you so much joining us from the mighty Souls of Mischief here on the Pick Your Brain podcast with Johaz and WeekendGabe. Thank you for giving us your time, your stories. The documentary, the Souls of Mischief documentary is on YouTube. I found it on YouTube. Is it anywhere else? I assume it's on your guys' website.
You can go to soulsmischief.com and we're selling a USB, which is like a gig or something, so you can use USB. But it's got the movie on it and it's shaped like a blue tape. So if you want to actually own it physically, just in case the whole web goes down, there's that. But then also, the YouTube, it's crazy because, I mean, we played it on Hyro Day and we probably got 31.
Oh, wow.
Put it on YouTube and it went like 200,000. You know, but I think the documentary, if you're talking about not a rags to riches story, but sort of underdog story, it's great to watch, period. You know, it would be good on Netflix or whatever, but people should check it out just to see how a band of friends, through their unity and sort of their unity of purpose, made it to, 30 years later, we having these kind of conversations.
Yeah, Oof. I agree. I think
man, I want to thank you for giving our listeners so much game, giving me so much game today, man, and keep shining, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me.
Appreciate it, man. All right. Don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter at PickYourBrainP. Give us a follow, and we'll definitely have a website up and some other things going. But stay tuned for our next episode coming up soon. Thanks.